Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Monday, August 4th, 2025. We're waiting for the Roman Storm jury verdict. It could have been last week, Thursday, but it wasn't. They asked some questions. But first, Sean Combs, yesterday, Sunday, filed in further support of his request to be released on bail pending his October 3rd sentencing. And, surprise, surprise, although there's some redactions as to why and what for, there's a letter from Gina, the victim who did not appear at trial, that the government thought that she would, and then she didn't. And now she's written in and said, you know, things happened, but she doesn't think he's a danger and he should be released on bail. There's a lot of discussion online about that, but there it is. It's in. So we'll see what Judge Subramanian. He's asked the government to unredact its filing about other threats of violence between, I guess, 2008 and 2014. So there's that. Now, what else? What else do we have? Again, Roman Storm. It's a big one, and we're waiting on the jury. We put out a song. You can read it, listen to it. Book 2 is ready to go. It's a big deal one way or another. The question is whether a software developer that designs an immutable contract, this is one way to present it, can be held responsible for North Korea subsequently using it and be said to have conspired to violate IEPA. They say it differently. They say that he profited from his torn tokens, and so he had an incentive. But the immutability seems to be a pretty big issue here. And there's also the issue of whether they could threaten to go after the investors in the company. They sealed that, but we've sought to unseal it. So there's that. On the Eric Adams beat, while his case was dropped, Erkan, a Turkish businessman who pled guilty to being a bagman, he's still going to be a felon apparently, and he's asked for probation when he's sentenced, which seems only fair. But we'll just have to see what he gets. On a bank legal front, Flagstar, which acquired New York Community Bank, well, the former CEO, it's not a criminal case, it's a civil case, but it's pretty nasty. They are alleging essentially violations of the banking laws. There was something about somebody sitting on somebody's lap and junior partners in a major meeting with major law firms, but there was also the idea of tipping the target of a money laundering investigation or financial impropriety investigation about a gambling problem. Where are the regulators? That's the question. They approved the merger. I don't know. Do they track these civil suits? What's happening? We need to know. Now, on the UN front, we also cover the United Nations, and we've written a scoop over the weekend. And the scoop is as follows. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, has a program called UN80. He calls it UN reform, but it's basically a response or sort of threatened response to funding cuts. But here's the thing. Out in the field, and they should know this because we've asked them about it. Out in the field, number one, the staff complains that the fat cats, many of them there's a guy who's in charge of the mission in South Sudan who hasn't been in the country in months. He's not a bad guy, but there's been no answer as to why that is and why that's acceptable. But apparently, according to the whistleblowers, and we're more than happy to publish any response by the UN, but all they do is handpick the people that ask them softball questions and not answer written questions which they promised to answer. The written question is, what is their response to UN staff, whistleblowers, allegations with details, with names, pay to play, people having to pay bribes to keep their largely U.S.-funded jobs with the UN. Pay to play. It's a pyramid scheme, and who's at the top of the pyramid? Ask yourself. Antonio Guterres had Inner City Press banned from the UN until now, and we're not accepting it. It looks like a new U.S. ambassador was not confirmed. And will it be a recess appointment? Or will the rule change this in September? In any case, we're going in for the Roman Storm jury watch. A new week begins. Inner City Press, to be continued.